Hello everyone, my name is Clement Adusei, and in this walkthrough I will be demonstrating a basic penetration test against the basic Pentesting 1 vulnerable machine full vuln hub. This demonstration is intended strictly for educational and legal tab practices purposes only. The objective is to walk through the standard penetration test methodology through our host discovery, enumeration, exploitation, and post-exploitation verifications on the differing vulnerable system. I would also like to give thanks to Dr. Wesley Phillips, who taught me the tools, techniques, and methodology throughout this walkthrough. Before beginning the penetration test, I will need to identify the IP address of my attacking machine, which is the Kali Linux. This IP address will later be used as a local host or L host during exploitation. At this point, I will use the following run command on my Kali machine, which is IPA. Once I type in IPA into the Kali Linux machines, I will then find my IP address, which is 172.12.20.10.11. This will be my IP address for the Kali Linux. The first phase of the steps of the penetration test is the host discovery. During this step, I will identify the live systems on the local network. To do this, I must use the following commands: sudo rpscan.1. After putting sudo rpscans.l, I will review the discover IP addresses and the MAC addresses to identify the target of the machine, which is 172.20.10.9, which gave me my MAC address and gave me my then these two are also part of the MAC address. So once I verify that, I can see that the host is reachable. After that, I will confirm using the following commands: fping target the IP. After typing the successful response, this shows that the IP, the target system, that is online and reachable. For our next step will be port scanning. After controlling the target, after confirming, after finding out our target is alive and online and reachable, our next step is the port scanning phase. The goal here is to identify the open ports and exposed service on the target system. I will begin with the basic nmap scan, which will be nmap target IP. From the nmap results, I observed that port 21 is open and running Pro FTPD version 133C. Identifying the service versions is crucial, as it allows me to research known vulnerabilities that associate with the software. At this stage, I research known vulnerabilities for the identified service. I use the following commands: search exploit profit FTPD 133C. These results ended up being known as a backdoor vulnerability in Pro FTPD version 1.33C, which allows the remote command execution. The vulnerability will be used in the exploitation phase. The results will indicate a known backdoor vulnerability in the Pro FTPD version 1.33C, which allows remote command execution. This vulnerability will be used in the exploitation phase. With the known vulnerability identified, I'll move on to the exploitation phase using the Metasploit framework. I launched the Metasploit with the following command: mfs console. As you can see here, the Metasploit loads up. I select the appropriate exploit module, which is use exploit /unix ftp /pro ftpd _133c _backdoor, as I will be typing it into the virtual machine. Next, I have to configure the required options, which is setting up the R host. Once my R host is set up to my IP address, I'll then set up my L host to set up with my Kali Linux IP address. Once my L host is set up to the Kali Linux IP address, I must now then set my L port to the Kali Linux IP address as well. Once I set up my R host to the IP address, I'll then set up my L host to my Kali Linux IP address. Once I am done setting up my L host for the Kali Linux IP address, I'll then set up my L port for the IP address as well. As you can see, I have set my L port to 444, and once I am done with that, I will then set up my payload, which will be set payload cmd-unix-reverse. Once I have set in my payload, which is set payload cmd unix.reverse, I'll then set in my options to see the result I will get. After reviewing to make sure all my options are set correctly and all my exploits are also set correctly, I will then hit run to make sure everything is going smoothly. After gaining all shell access, I shall verify my level of access on the target system by beginning to run WOMI. After the output confirms that I am operating as the root user, to further validate this, I check the user ID and I type in ID on my Kali Linux machine. Once I find that a user ID of 0 confirms root level privilege, to demonstrate the full system compromise, I list the system's directions. And the system directions I will be using is ls/. In conclusion, the basic one testing target system was successfully compromised. Root access was achieved without authentication, and full control of the system was obtained. This demonstrates the serious risk posed by the outdated and vulnerable services such as the ProFTPD version 133C when left unpatched. Shout out and thank you again to Dr. Wesley Phillips for the instructions and guidance that made this walkthrough possible, and thank you for watching.